Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ground Reason Podcast, where tech and policy collide. Before I get started, I wanted to say congratulations to Joel and his wife Anne on the arrival of a new baby. New baby. People say new baby. Do we have to say new baby? Does anybody ever have an old baby? It'd be really freaky. Anyway, Joel will be taking a bit of a time off, this week to hang with his ever-increasing family. So no Joel today, just me. Joel and I were talking, and we were talking about maybe having a little bit of a break when the baby arrived. But, just because Joel is off multiplying doesn't mean I can't hold down the fort. So today I'm going to be going over how one can watch the 2017 NFL season without having to pay an arm or a leg to a cable TV company or a satellite company. But before I get into that, I kind of wanted to bring up what might be happening with some of the changes, and the changes are the good when it comes to NFL broadcasts, because what the big complaint has always been the amount of commercials one has to watch during the game. And I remember back in March, the commissioner, Roger Goodell, told his fans that he was going to do his best to, try to eliminate double up commercials. And what has been, the Packers president, Mark Murphy, recently said that there's not going to be any more touchdown commercial kickoff than a commercial sequences, that they're going to get rid of that to try to eliminate some of the lull in games. And I don't know how many of you out there are familiar, but it is ridiculous the amount of actual football that you watch in a 3 or 4 hour NFL broadcast. Now, the Wall Street Journal a few years back had this famous pie chart, because they did some analysis to see how much football versus other things you're actually watching when you watch a football game. And I'm going to break it all down here real quick before we get into actually how to watch NFL without cable, but because I find it interesting. So the average football game, NFL football game, is 3 hours and 12 minutes. So it's 192 minutes. Of those 192 minutes, I think that's right. Yeah, 3 times 6, 192. Out of 192 minutes, you spend about 63 minutes watching commercials. So right off the bat, a third of the time is commercial watching, which is more than your typical average show, because you figure, 1 hour of television, 1 hour television program is like 44 minutes. So it's like 15 or 16 minutes left. So it's really like 75% of a normal viewing hour of TV is what you want to watch, where only a fourth of it is commercials. Here, a third is commercials. So again, out of 192 minutes, 67 minutes are shots of just the players kind of standing around. That's literally what it is. It's just players standing around, 67 minutes. Shots of the coach, crowd, cheerleaders, etc. So, non-football players, 36 minutes. 36 minutes. Then you get 15 minutes of replays. I guess that's entertaining. You get 15 minutes of replays sometimes. And so how much game action, actual football that you watch during 192 minutes? 11 minutes. Yes, 11 minutes. So out of a football game, you sit down to watch your football game, about 5.8% of it is actually football. The other 94.2% is other stuff. So just throwing that out there. And maybe with, the plan to get rid of the commercial double up after the kickoff, they score a touchdown, there's a commercial, there's a kickoff, then there's a commercial, and then they play. Getting rid of that, you might actually get a couple more, minutes of football action in there, and raise that percentage a bit. Maybe we might get like 7% of actual football. Who am I kidding? I mean, 7%, that's a lot. That's a lot of football to be asking for. Maybe we could probably just get that number up to 6%. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that we'll all sit there for over 3 hours and some change, and 11 minutes of action. All right, so let's get into how to actually watch the NFL this year without having cable. Actually, now that I think about it, I'll also go into how to watch some college football because it's not all that different. And if you're a fan of both, you might it might dictate which services you pick up. Okay, so all of your Sunday day games, your local teams are going to air on Fox and CBS. So if you're going to need to get find a way to get those two networks, I'll get into the various ways how a little bit later on. First, I just wanted to give a high level summary of how to watch the various local and national games before I get into the details. Uh, your Sunday Night Football, which is a nationally televised game, that's always going to be on NBC. So right there, you got three of the major networks that you're going to need to get if you're, a big football fan here. Monday Night Football is going to require ESPN. Meanwhile, your Thursday night games, they're going to air on a mix of NBC and CBS, but all of those games will also be simulcast on the NFL network. I know it sounds a little complicated. Don't worry, we won't need a slide rule or any complex mathematics. I'll just kind of get into a laundry list of the best way to get all these a little bit later. So first, let's just cover the freest and simplest of solutions. Since you do need three major networks, CBS, Fox, and NBC. And again, Fox and CBS will give you your local team games on Sunday, the afternoon games, or if you're out on the West Coast, what times football start there? Like what, 10, I think, 10, 11, 12. Yes, yeah, 10 o'clock. So those first two games, those will be on CBS and Fox, and the NBC Sunday Night Football is obviously on NBC. So those three networks are free with an antenna. If you live near a city, it's pretty easy. I mean, you can just go. A lot of people can just go out and buy an indoor antenna, plug it in, and it works. I'll have a link in the show notes. I've written a guide on how to choose the best antenna for you because it does change based on where you are in the country, how far you are from the TV towers, what the terrain is like in your area. And it's a whole bunch of variables that go into it. I'll just put that link in the show notes. And also, if you just go back through some old episodes, Joel and we've covered, TV antennas on a couple occasions. We did one on TV Fool. I think one of the first episodes is actually about TV antennas, and how easy it is to get, your free network TV. Now, I know not everyone is going to want to deal with an antenna, or maybe you're just not in an area, in the vicinity of a tower to where you can get network TV. Don't worry, there's some other options via streaming that I'm going to get into later. But honestly, for your football fans out there, if you can get a over-the-air antenna, just any old antenna, it'll work. Just all you need is a digital TV, and it'll work fine. Now, I know some out there are saying, digital TV, you say? I thought I needed a digital antenna. And I'll tell you, and I've said this before on the show, there's no such thing as a digital antenna. It's a marketing scheme. The old antennas that like our parents had when TVs were first invented, those will work actually with the signals that are going on right now. What's really important is that the tuner that you have is a digital tuner. So any antenna will send that signal to a tuner. If the signal is digital, which it is because that's what they transmit from the tower, your antenna will pick up that digital signal and send it to a digital tuner. The problem was the older TVs were analog TVs, and those wouldn't be able to pick up the signals. But now every TV that you buy in the store, at least since, for past 10 years, is going to have a digital tuner in it. So basically I'm saying don't worry about an antenna if it doesn't say that it's digital. It doesn't matter. Now, if you want to make sure that you get Monday Night Football, which is on ESPN, and you want to make sure that you get every single one of the Thursday night games, you're going to want NFL Network. Now, some of those games also are simulcast on CBS and NBC, and I'll go over what weeks in a minute. But for right now, let's just talk about ESPN and NFL Network. Now, there's really two streaming services that will provide both of those. NFL Network isn't on all of the other ones, or the price is just too high for it to where it's not even worth mentioning. But The two packages that I'm going to discuss here for football fans are Sling TV and PlayStation View. Now, Sling TV will give you, in order to get both NFL Network and ESPN, you're going to need both the blue package and the orange package, because NFL Network is on the blue package along with NBC. Some NBC local affiliates can actually stream, so that'll solve some of the problem for people who don't want to deal with an antenna. You can actually get some local NBC channels through Sling TV, but only on the blue package. And also some Fox local affiliates are available through the Sling TV blue package. So that's some Fox affiliates, some NBC affiliates, and NFL Network. Those are all on the blue package. Now, to get ESPN, you're going to need the orange package, because that's more like the Disney package, and Disney owns ESPN. Now, ESPN by itself is, or rather the orange package by itself, only costs $20 a month. But that doesn't give you NFL Network. It doesn't give you Fox, some Fox local affiliates if you need them, if you don't have an antenna. It also doesn't give you the NBC local affiliates if you need them, if you don't have an antenna. All it does is give you ESPN. And that is for, $20 a month. Now, the other package, the blue package, that gives you NFL Network, and it'll give you the following NBC affiliates. Here, I'm going to rattle them off real quick. Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose area. I think that's KNTV. Los Angeles, that's KNBC. New York, of course, is WNBC. Philadelphia, Dallas-Fort Worth, Washington, D.C., Miami and Fort Lauderdale, San Diego, Boston, and then Hartford, New Haven. Those are the NBC local affiliate channels that you can stream if you have the blue package. Now, the Fox channel you get through the blue packages are the local affiliates in Atlanta, Austin, Charlotte, North Carolina, Chicago, Dallas, Detroit, Gainesville, Florida, Houston, LA, Minneapolis, New York, Orlando, Philadelphia, Phoenix, San Francisco, Tampa, Florida, and Washington, D.C. So that's the Fox affiliates that you get with the blue package. Now, if you get both the blue and the orange package, as I said, orange package is $20, blue package is $25. If you get both, they knock off $5 and it's $40 a month. So $40 a month will get you the NFL Network, it'll get you all those NBC, Fox local affiliates, and it'll get you ESPN for $40 a month. Now, Sling TV gets you, as part of their core package, now it's $5 more. It's $44.99. It'll get you ESPN and the NFL Network, but it's $5 more. It'll give you all the Fox and NBC affiliates that I mentioned. Here's the bonus and what you get for $5, and it might be worth it for you. You get a bunch of CBS local channels too, which also airs football. So those channels are Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, Dallas, Denver, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Harrisburg, Hartford, New Haven, Jacksonville, Kansas City, LA, Miami, Minneapolis, New York, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Pittsburgh, Sacramento, Salt Lake City, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, St. Louis, and West Palm Beach. So if it might be worth it for you for those. I mean, if you're in one of those cities, an extra $5 will pick up CBS. You don't have to worry about an antenna for NFL. Now, if you have an antenna, I'd probably go Sling and just, grab ESPN unless you need the NFL Network, then grab both. Now, I'm going to get into how to watch out-of-market games in a minute. I'm actually going to get into how to watch pretty much any NFL game you want in a minute. But before that, I wanted to kind of go over the Thursday night football debacle. I mean, it's not really a debacle. It's kind of confusing on why it airs, and why I say to get the NFL Network is because it's just easy, because you just know it's going to be on those those channels. It's going to be on the NFL Network for Thursday night games. Basically, they struck a deal with the NFL struck a deal with CBS and NBC, so they're going to be sharing weeks. So, and this isn't all the Thursday night games, I don't think, but basically, CBS is going to have week 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and NBC is going to have week 10, 11, 13, 14, 15. Any other Thursday night game is going to be exclusively on NFL Network. But NFL Network will also simulcast all of the games I mentioned on NBC and CBS. So what if you want to watch games that don't air in your local market? Or if you want to watch all the games? What if you want to watch all the games in the NFL? Well, there's a way to do this. Now, there's a service, and it's called NFL Game Pass. Now, what Game Pass does in the United States is air every single game from the 2017 and 28 season. It also gives you a whole bunch of old games. If you want to go back, there's like an archive of a whole bunch of old football games. And this is a service, you don't need cable for it. NFL Game Pass. It's available on iPad, iPhone, Android tablets, and Android phones, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Roku, Apple TV. And what you can do with it is stream any game you want. Problem is there's a blackout delay, and it's quite so you can't watch any of these games live. What they basically do is for the regular season, you have to wait until 4 p.m. Eastern time. For those, you have to wait for those 4 p.m. Eastern time games to complete. And then once that game's over, you'll be able to watch the 1 p.m. and the 4 p.m. games. So I guess the 4 o'clock game ends probably around 7:30. So at 7:30 p.m. when that game's wrapped up, you'll be able to watch the games that day. Now, I mean, if you're a diehard football fan and that might be okay for you. I know it's not really the ideal solution for me. So I'm going to explain something called Game Pass International, because oddly enough, if you live outside the United States and your football, and the football isn't if the football isn't on locally, like say I know in the UK, sometimes they air some NFL games. I mean, it's part of this push to get Brits interested in American football. But there's a way there's some countries that, like I think France, they don't air any football, and they get to watch every single game live as it happens. So there's no delay. So it's actually better, if you're over in France and you want to use Game Pass, because it's more expensive, but you get to watch all the games you want live. Now I'm going to get into how you can actually use that service without moving to France in a moment. First, I want to go over just the different features that Game Pass will give you. Real quick, it gives you the ability to turn your scores on and off to avoid spoilers if it's on delay. So if you don't want like score updates, you don't have to see them. It gives you condensed game versions. They condense them down to 30 minutes long. So actually, that kind of helps out for those people that just want to watch the 11 minutes of action. It looks like they cut a lot out. I mean, they're judging by the 30 minutes long, there's probably a little bit of looking at guys standing around and maybe a few coaches here or there, but that's probably the best action to actual football there is, because that's over 33%, where everyone else watching it live is only getting about 5% football. So that's a pretty sweet deal. You get full replay of every game from 2009 until present day. You get coaches film, and it gives you DVR controls. So those are the things you get with Game Pass. Now, you're probably wondering, because I did bury the lead, how can you watch the games live through NFL Game Pass? And what you need to do is you need to get something called a smart DNS, or a VPN will work too. I prefer using a smart DNS. Because it's just, you set it and forget it. I've used the service called Overplay before, and what it does is their smart DNS, all you do is you set it to their domain name server, and it routes your traffic through their domain server, and they basically make it look like your computer is in a given country. Now, what's cool about their smart DNS is they'll give you a whole list of services. So, it'll say like streaming services like Netflix, Game Pass, NHL TV, NMLB TV, a whole bunch of different services. And you can say, when I'm watching this service, I want it to look like I'm in this country. And when I'm watching, this service, I want it to look like I'm in this country. Now, the service does run a couple bucks a month. So, it's not, that big of a hit on your wallet, and it's really easy to set up. So what you'll do is, to get it working, and I'll put an article in the show notes. Pretty much everything I'm saying right now on this podcast is going to be attached to this article on how to watch NFL online. And I'll actually, when I talk about college a little later, I'll actually put that article in there too. So you can refer back to them, and the instructions on how to do this are in there. So basically, you just go up and you sign up for the Smart DNS. That link's going to be in the article. And there's actually links on the website on how easy to set it up. It's very easy. You really just go into settings and you type a couple numbers into your DNS field. It's a lot easier than it sounds. So when you're logged into Overplay, you basically just go into the Smart DNS. You configure those settings. You will say, when you're watching NFL Game Pass, you want it to be in France. Now your computer looks like it's in France. You navigate to NFL Game Pass. You start your free trial, create an account, make sure it's an international account. If you already have an NFL Game Pass in the States, do not use that account. Completely separate service, and it won't work. So you need a new account for the international service. It'll ask you for a payment method. Of course, don't use your actual information there. It shouldn't matter because it goes off of the geolocation of your IP address, which looks like it's in France. Now, there's a 1-week free trial associated with this. So if you try it out, you don't like it, or you're having some trouble with the DNS, which, I haven't any problems, but if you are, or you just don't like having to deal with the DNS, you can cancel as long as you do it before your week's up, because that's when you get billed. Now, since it's a live service, it costs 190 euro, which is about $210, which I think is a little bit less than the Sunday ticket, or around the Sunday ticket. But that's what you're paying. You're paying for every single NFL game. So it's $210 for the entire season. So if you just want to check out a game or two on it to see how you like it, and then you can decide, just make sure you cancel before the week's up, if you want to get your money back. And it's super easy to cancel. You just do it from your account settings. So it's not like they hide it or make it difficult. Now, I also want to say that, while it's completely legal to use a Smart DNS, so there's no trouble there, it likely violates the terms of service with NFL Game Pass. So if they ever decide to crack down on it, they could, just turn off the service, and I don't think you'll be entitled to a refund. So there is a bit of a risk. Although it's worked the past few years and they haven't cracked down on that yet. But who knows? It all comes down to TV licensing deals and the archaic way that they write the licensing deals, really don't translate to how the internet actually works. So these workarounds are really easy to pull off. And since these companies are still making money, they're kind of hesitant to shut them down. So we'll see. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up out there, just in case. Now, there's a couple other notes I wanted to go over before I get into how to watch college, which is a lot simpler. First, if the games tend to be on CBS, and you can't get an antenna, CBS All Access has over 150 local affiliates that stream over CBS All Access. So basically, you pick up their service, and it gives you access to your local NBC affiliate, and which will air NFL games. If you live in certain buildings within certain cities, you might be able to actually get NFL Sunday Ticket online without having to get DirecTV. So basically, and I mean DirecTV, the satellite service. Um, it'll NFL Sunday Ticket Online is available to people living in select apartment buildings, attending one of 10 universities, or living in a select area within the metros of New York, Philadelphia, or San Francisco. So it's very, very, a select group of people that can watch NFL Sunday Ticket Online. And I think that has to do with these areas are now allowed to get satellite dishes, so they needed to make something available for them. So they have NFL Sunday Ticket Online. I'm hoping one day that they'll just open that up to everyone, but who knows? So what they're gonna be opening it. They opened it up last year actually to select multi-dwelling unit buildings nationwide, whatever that means. Basically, if you go to this article, you can go to their website and enter your address, and it'll tell you, or your area, and it'll tell you where. Whether it's available or not for you. For most people, it's not, and the blackout rules still apply. So you're going to need the antenna to catch games within your local market anyway, or you could just use the NFL Game Pass solution. Some Thursday night football games are actually going to be airing on Amazon Prime. They're going to have on the Prime Video app. So basically, if you're an Amazon Prime member and you have your Prime Video app, wherever that'll work, you'll be able to watch the Thursday night football games on certain weeks. Those weeks are weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those weeks will air Thursday night football on Amazon Prime. But really, the basic gist is get an antenna, pick your poison between Sling TV and PlayStation View, and off you go. You're watching football. And if you want to watch the out of market games or all the games, then, pick up the Game Pass, use the blackout workaround, and you're good to go watching the NFL this season. Now on to college, which is a lot easier. The majority of your NCAA college football is going to air on ESPN, one of the ESPN channels. So either ESPN, ESPN2, 3, ESPNU. Fox has a bunch of them. So it's going to be on FS1, FS2, or Fox. NBC, ABC, and CBS Sports Network airs some college football. The Big Ten Network, the Pac-12 Network, the ACC Network, and the SEC Network. Those pretty much are going to have the big, that's going to be the majority of your big teams. Now, I mean, personally, I think Sling TV is probably the best for football in general because, like I said, it's a pretty decent deal on the NFL side of the house when it comes to getting all the content you need. It also has the majority of college stations because especially if you do like the double up, like where you grab both the blue and the orange package, you're going to get access to ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, ESPNU, FS1, FS2, Big Ten Network, Pac-12 Network, ACC Network, and the SEC Network. And you'll also get NBC and Fox in certain areas. But to get all of those college channels, especially like I think Pac-12 add-on and SEC add-on, you're going to have to pick up something called the Sports Extra package. So it's an add-on to your your primary subscriptions. So instead of the $40 a month for the blue and the orange, you add $5 more to get the Sports Extra, and that'll give you all those networks. And like I said, Sling also provides some local NBC and Fox. And for another additional $5, you can get the Broadcast Extra, which will give you some access to some ABC if you need it. The only major college football channel missing from that, package would be the CBS Sports Network, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they just air Army home games. If you really need CBSN, I think you can get that through Fubu TV, and I'll explain I'll explain what they have to offer a little later. But that's pretty much, I mean, Sling TV gives you an option to getting all of those big college football channels. And like I said, altogether, it's $50 for all that if you need the ABC. If you don't need ABC, then it's 45 to get you, all of those channels. Now, of course, you can go to their site and you can mix and match if you only need to watch certain games, or if you only, need half of the channels for your teams that you like, then you can just, pick up the orange or the blue. I mean, that's one good thing about Sling TV is while it's not truly a la carte, even though they kind of, I think that's their big push. It's better than any of the other services out there when it comes to giving you options and choices. Now, I wanted to real quick go over some of the other services and what you can get on them. The Hulu Live TV. I mean, I know most people think of Hulu is a pure streaming service for on-demand stuff, but now they actually have a live TV service. I think we've covered that before on the podcast. Hulu TV for $40 a month gets you ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, ESPNU, FS1, FS2, SEC Network, BTN, and CBS Sports Network. The things that are missing is Pac-12. You're not going to get the Pac-12 network. Fubo TV. I really like Fubo TV because they're a startup trying to just get into streaming. And they really just want to cater to cord cutters, and they're the only major streaming service that I know of that's a pure startup. All the other ones are pretty much spin-offs, or they have some type of big former traditional TV company behind them. So I mean, it's kind of cool to support something like that. It's pretty much homegrown, cord cutter focused streaming service. But they offer for $35 a month CBS Sports Network, FS1, FS2, and Big Ten Network. And they also provide access to local Fox, NBC, CBS in certain markets. DirecTV Now, their Live a Little package, which I know Joel isn't here, but I mean, we would probably riff on that for a while. I mean, DirecTV Now, not very good at picking the names of their packages. It's good service, but I think the marketing department needs a little bit more of imagination. I mean, because right now I'm going to discuss the Live a Little and the Just Right. Ooh, oh boy. All right. So the Live a Little package, that'll get you for $35. It'll get you ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, and FS1. If you want to add BTN and SEC Network, you're going to have to upgrade to Just Right, the Just Right package, and that's $50 a month. If you want Fox Sports 2 or FS2, you have to go all the way. You have to go big for their $60 a month package. Man, it's just really tough to talk about DirecTV Now. Go big. Oh, Jesus. So, I mean, as you can see, just the way their packages are kind of tiered, it can get quite expensive to watch college football on DirecTV Now. PlayStation View will give you ESPN, ESPN2, FS1, and FS2. And I think you can watch ESPN3 using the Watch ESPN app. And then you can just use your PlayStation View login credentials. That Watch ESPN app, you can, I think that actually works with PlayStation View, DirecTV Now, and Sling TV. And that offers a lot of content on the Watch ESPN app. But that PlayStation View package is $39.99. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that with that Watch ESPN app, I'm pretty sure that if you live in a Longhorn territory over down in Texas, that the Longhorn network will pop up on that Watch ESPN app. So if you have Sling TV or DirecTV Now, the Watch ESPN app will show the Longhorn network if you are in the Longhorn, if it's like in the market for the Longhorn network. Now with DirecTV Now, though, remember you have to get the Just Right package to get the ESPN. Where with Sling TV, you just have to buy the orange package to get the Watch ESPN app. Now, before I get out of here, I want to actually talk about the College Sports Live app. Now, that's an app that costs $9.99 a month, $9.99 a month. And they go out and make deals with schools to stream, their teams. So they've struck some deals with Air Force, Baylor, Georgetown, Georgia, Minnesota, Navy, Oakland, Ohio State, Penn State, Pittsburgh, Purdue, Rice, San Diego State, UConn, Villanova, Virginia, and quite a few more. Again, both the college sports article and the NFL article will be in the show notes. So if you go in, you'll be able to see a link to College Sports Live and see what they have to offer. It's a shot that if it's like a medium-sized school or even a big school, it just doesn't happen to be on one of those major college sports networks, that it might be available on College Sports Live. So you might want to go ahead and just give it a look. I guess that pretty much wraps up the NFL and the college sports. I did actually did get a request to put together something for NHL hockey because I think the puck drops on the season on I want to say October 4th. So I'm a big hockey fan, and I know a lot of people out there are. So I'm putting that together, and it should be hitting the blog soon. And I might actually, may even mention how to do it on the podcast at some point before the season begins. I also ask that you let all your friends out there know about us. Tell them to check out Grounded Reason Podcast on iTunes, on their iPhone podcast app, or wherever you can, listen to podcasts. You'll find Grounded Reason Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe, especially you iPhone people out there, because, iTunes is the big podcast aggregator. So people who subscribe to podcast on iTunes, that pushes that show up in the rankings and more people get to hear it. I'll appreciate it. Joel will appreciate it. Joel's new baby will appreciate it someday. And you know what? We'll just be indebted to you for life. So just please subscribe. And if you're feeling generous, leave us a review in iTunes or wherever you're listening to podcasts. If you have any questions or comments, you can follow us on Twitter at Grounded Reason. You can send us an email. The address is podcast@groundedreason.com. You can check us out on our Facebook page or leave a comment on the blog. Thanks for listening, everybody. This is Dennis Restaro. Everyone out there, have a great week. Take care.